I'd like to open the Union County Board of Commissioners Monday, March 1st, 2021, 6 o'clock commission meeting. And we'll begin as usual with our opening invocation. And Vice Chairman Rake, would you lead us in that, please, sir?
Thank you. If you would or care to, bow your head. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight with hearts full of thankfulness and admiration. I especially appreciate a sermon I heard this past week about how we are so blessed. And it almost made me emotional thinking how blessed I have been. And it said, if you know you are blessed, try to be a blessing to somebody who needs it. And I think I am so proud of our county organization, our commissioners, all the people that work in the county and the schools, because we have done so well during this COVID pandemic. I mean, we've lost so many loved ones, but so many people have survived, and we'll never forget the ones that we lost, and I'll never quit giving thanks for the ones that survived. We ask that you bless us with wisdom as we do the county's business tonight. Thank you. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll have our informal comments. And Angela Chu, would you like to come? While you're coming, I'm going to read. Each speaker must address the board from the lectern and begin their remarks with giving their name, stating whether they're a resident of Union County, indicating the municipality within which they reside, if any, and stating the topic of which they intend to speak. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to make their remarks. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me. Good evening. My name is Angela Chu. I reside in Unionville within Union County. My topic tonight is animal welfare. I sent a letter to each of you with concerns regarding this topic. Although I have yet to receive a response, it is important to raise some major concerns today. Union County has a tarnished reputation in animal welfare for many years. While our county takes a third of the animals, whereas neighboring counties such as Mecklenburg, our euthanasia rate consistently has been twice as high. In 2019, it was at 44%. North Carolina state laws defines that animal is considered a stray that is beyond the limits of confinement or lost. They are also not wearing any tags or other methods of identification. This would raise the concern as to why our animal control states that they will not pick up stray animals. How do we know this animal has been properly vaccinated according to our state laws? This is a public safety hazard. To make matters worse, our county has an overpopulation issue. With our county rapidly growing and no low-cost spay and neuter clinic that is easily accessible, our families are not able to sterilize their animals. Section 19A of North Carolina animal law states, the General Assembly finds that the uncontrolled breeding of cats and dogs in the state has led to unacceptable numbers of animals. These unwanted animals become strays and constitute a public nuisance and a public health hazard. The animals themselves suffer privation and death, are impounded, and the most are destroyed at a great expense to local governments. It is the intention of the General Assembly to provide a voluntary means of funding of a spay and neuter program, to provide financial assistance to local governments, offering low-income persons reduced cost spay and neuter services for the dogs and cats, and to provide statewide education program for the benefits of spaying and neutering pets. The statements directly correlate to a recent backyard breeder incident in Marshville. Out of 100 dogs, 54 were removed by rescue from deplorable conditions. These neglectful owners did not face one charge. To allow such an event to occur is damaging proof what is written in law is not being executed, and I have pictures to share if you would wish to view them. We have a healthy budget of more than 1.2 million taxpayer dollars. Counties with similar budgets have a full-time vet on staff, low-cost spay and neuter service, and fix every animal before they leave shelter doors. We currently do not offer any of these services. We have ample amount of money to run our county properly, but we need the help of an animal advisory board. My ask is for the Board of Commissioners to approve an animal welfare advisory board. This commissioner-appointed board would help reform and improve the delivery of animal control services. It would aid and assist in creating standards of care and a code of ethics. While I may look like just one person standing in front of you today, our community has longed to be heard regarding our animals. So again, I ask you to approve this advisory board. Our reputation has been stained, but it does not have to stay that way. With the help of a dedicated board, we may not be able to make changes overnight, but we can ensure that state laws, as well as safety and the standards of our community, are upheld. Allow us to be a beacon of light and hope. With your leadership, we can showcase to neighboring counties and finally change the embarrassing perception our county has regarding our animals. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chair.
Sure. Did you want to see the
You may
pictures?
not be aware, but when you adopt a pet in Union County, that adoption fee covers the spay neuter, and we have a low-cost spay neuter clinic here in the county on Highway 75, and we use that. I've adopted 2 or 3 animals from the shelter and taken them down there, so there is one available.
The one in Monroe, correct?
Yes, South Monroe.
Yes, the statistics show that it has to be easily accessible, and there's also actually funds available through the state that we can be actually reimbursed if we provide a year-round spay and neuter clinic that is year-round, easily accessible, and within the state guidelines. We actually can be reimbursed for those costs, which we are not currently eligible with the Monroe spay and neuter clinic. So that was something that we can even save money in that regards. I have asked the shelter about the spaying and neutering the animal, and it actually only covers a portion. You have to pick one of the 12 vets that they have currently approved, and if you choose any election of like painkillers or anything for your animal, it is not covered as well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Thank you.
Next, we have additions, deletions, and our adoption of the agenda. I have one item I'd like to add to the consent agenda entitled Resolution Authorizing Condemnation to acquire certain property or interest in property owned by Pinnacle Homes USA LLC, is identified as parcel ID 08078-005C. Add that to our consent agenda.
Motion to approve agenda is amended.
Okay? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have no old business this evening. And in new business, we have appointments to the Historic Preservation Commission. The terms of 2 members of the Historic Preservation Commission expire in February 21. These members have served 2 consecutive 4-year terms and are not eligible for reappointment at this time. In addition, another member has resigned because she has moved from Union County and her term on the commission does not expire until February 2024. Vacancies have been advertised. Applications have been received as follows. There are 2 vacancies for full 4-year terms and 1 vacancy for unexpired terms. With that, I'd like to make a motion that we nominate and approve Crystal Gilliard and Travis Wilson for the 2 permanent 4-year terms and DeTronda Thomason for the unexpired term. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, item number 26 is school nurse COVID-19. Dennis, I think you had.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to be excused for item number 25 and 26 and 27 to prevent a conflict of interest.
Mr. Long, can you?
In general, Commissioner, you are required to vote unless the rest of the board allows you not to vote because of a conflict of interest. I would also encourage the board to approve that because you want to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest. Note that if that is not approved, if you do not vote, it will be deemed to be an affirmative vote.
You need a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Motion to excuse Commissioner Rake from.
okay. Any
item
further
26,
discussion?
27.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis. Michelle, would you care to enlighten us on?
I'm happy to. I will take care of both these items and give you just a brief update along with the school nurse item on our vaccination event that we had this weekend at the Ag Center. So first, I'll cover item 26, one-time compensation for school nurses for their work on COVID-19. This is something that we've really been working on for a few months, trying to identify a way that we could recognize through compensation staff who don't work for us. They work for the school system, the Union County Public School nurses. And as noted in your agenda item, what we are asking for tonight is the approval of a budget amendment to appropriate unassigned fund balance to the Union County Public Schools for the purpose of a one-time compensation for school nurses. This would include $5,000 one-time compensation for the 2 supervisory nurse positions, $2,500 for one-time compensation for 54 school nurses, and $1,250 for one-time compensation for 4 school nurses who began work partway through the year in December. And I just want to share with the board the amount of work that these folks have done. The staff for the school system has really been overwhelming to some degree. They have done this really without any prompting. The team that they have there has been committed to helping our staff from day one in the Emergency Operations Center, as well as the work that they've had to do to ensure that kids can have in-seat learning and the way that Union County Public Schools are delivering that currently. So this would be $150,000 for the description, the items that I just described to you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
And Jared McCraw is here with the school system if anybody has any questions for him.
Any questions? All I can tell you is that my email box is lit up with people congratulating Union County on the way that the health department and these nurses have been conducting themselves and made the flow of the COVID-19 vaccination. So I see you sitting back there. Our health department and Jared, your school nurses and everything contributed to that, and I'm sure they will continue as we move forward. I'll make a motion that we approve the budget amendment number 35 to appropriate unassigned fund balance to Union County Public Schools for the purpose of a one-time compensation for school nurses. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And just to give you some numbers based on our vaccination clinic that we had this weekend, and we appreciate all of the feedback that we've received, the positive feedback, really. Dennis and his staff, the human services staff, I know I'm a broken record, I keep saying this, but they have really gone above and beyond in putting together a project that is ongoing, that they've just done an outstanding job. And we hear feedback from all over the county and surrounding counties about the type of work that we're doing. And I also want to thank Atrium Healthcare. They really came to our aid and assistance, and the folks between the school staff, Atrium, and our own staff, they work together as if they've been doing this for the last 20 years. I mean, it really has been seamless. Also want to thank the Ag Center staff. Andrew Balcom and that team really have come together nicely and put together a really nice presentation for the community to see and to be proud of the work that we do here. But just to give you some context, over the weekend, Friday and Saturday, staff and our partners gave 5,174 vaccinations, so quite overwhelming. The first vaccination was at 7:54 a.m. on Friday morning, and the last one was at 8:47 p.m. on Saturday night. And so they went 12 hours, a little more than 12 hours each day, and really did just an outstanding job. So Dennis and his staff really do deserve to be given a great deal of credit. And then just to give you some numbers of where we are overall for vaccination for Union County, we have given 22,619 vaccinations for COVID at this point. 16,046 of those were first doses, 6,573 second doses. and approximately 11.34% of Union County residents have had their first dose. So we're slightly less than the state, definitely one of the highest in the region. The statewide is about 13.67%. So that team has really done a great job, and they will continue to do that as long as we get vaccine and people want it in their arms. We will be there at the Human Services Agency and at the Ag Center providing that service. So happy to answer any questions about vaccine, or I can go right into the next item.
No, I'm looking forward to my second.
Well, they will be happy to give it to
Cheryl,
you.
what's our positivity rate?
Oh, this morning, what was it, Dennis, about 6%?
It was 6.4.
6.4% at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Going in the right direction. Okay, the next item is our emergency rental assistance program. And this item, I'll first tell you what the action is that we're asking you to do, then I'll just give you some highlights and highlights for the folks who are tuning in. We're asking you to approve a special revenue ordinance for $7,234,474. This funding will be appropriated for our emergency rental assistance program. I think, as many of you know, that the federal government in December at the end of 2020 provided a significant amount of money for emergency rental assistance, and that this is our share. If you had a population over 200,000, you got those funds, or were able to get those funds directly from the Treasury Department. And so I've highlighted for you in your agenda item package what this money will be used for. 90% of the funding must be utilized for rent, utilities, and home energy costs and other expenses related to housing. 10% can be used for housing stability services and overall grant administration. And then I go into a little bit more on the eligible household. They cannot duplicate funding, so if they've received funding for assistance in some other, and through CARES funding or some other mechanism, they cannot duplicate that funding. And they have to show us that they qualify for unemployment or have experienced a reduction in household income, incurred significant costs, or experienced a financial hardship due to COVID-19. Based on the work that our staff has done, the county has approximately 14,300 renters, about 19% of our population. And about 62% of those are at or below 80% of AMI, which is what we're supposed to be looking at from the federal guidelines. So we've also done some additional research by reaching out to landlords and rental companies and utility providers, and we have identified at this point that there are about 455 family units who are over $1 million in arrears on their rental payments at this point. And so we're continuing to gather that information and make sure that we have a good grasp on what the impact is that we can have with this $7 million that we're receiving. Additionally, the data that we have been provided from the utility companies indicates that over 6,000 households are in arrears with their utility payments, over $1.1 million in payments that are late in that area. So what we are going to be doing over the next few weeks is evaluating some IT solutions that are available nationwide. We do not have the capacity internally to handle this type of a program with the software that we currently use. So we have put out an RFP at the end of last week. Staff will be evaluating those, and we will have our program in place by early April, and so we will provide that information to you at that time. So tonight, really, you're just accepting these funds so that we can move forward with this program. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Commissioner Rushing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're not charging late fees, disconnect fees, reconnect fees. That's not, we're not charging that right now?
We
because of COVID?
are now, yes.
We are now. That was lifted in the governor's executive order, so we are charging late fees and disconnect fees now. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess the concern I would have is that if we're doing that this money will be lessened by fees that we're charging. I don't want to.
So it's not just our utility, so this is all utilities. This
Right.
would be Duke Energy, it'd be.
But the utilities we can control. So again, are we paying a lot of our penalties and fines with this money?
Well, so we wouldn't know until somebody made an application, so it's gonna be application specific for the person. If that's something you want us to look into, we can spend some time going back and taking a look at that.
And maybe we should consider waiving, I mean, if they're using this money for a legitimate purpose, then maybe we should consider waiving those.
I'm happy to go back and look at that and put that in the guidelines.
Okay.
I can work with Brian and Young and the staff and figure out what makes sense.
Right. Because again, to get it to affect and help as many families as possible.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I was just gonna say, I'll make the motion to approve the special revenue ordinance for the $7,234,474. Do I need to say to be amended to,
I don't think.
based on your?
I don't think so. We're not asking the board to approve the programmatic aspects of this. We'll bring that back to you for your
Okay.
information. You're just authorizing the use of the funds, but I'll take into consideration what Commissioner Rushing shared, and we will provide to you what the guidelines look like and include something that makes sense from that utility
I
perspective.
fully support the idea behind Commissioner
Absolutely.
Rushing's points, but we'll leave the motion as is for just the $7,234,474.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, appreciate it. Dennis, thank you for coming. And Jared? Next, we have manager's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've heard Deputy Manager Lancaster talk about the Max vaccine event. I'd like to echo my thanks to all of those that participated in making that happen. And to her list of Atrium healthcare workers, Union County Public Health, Union County Public Schools, school nurses, I'd like to add Union County EMS played a big part in that effort. Once the vaccine's given, there's a waiting period of observation, and Union EMS has been there at every clinic we've had so far, making sure that folks are well taken care of and observed after they receive their injections, and if they have a reaction, which not very many people do or have, they're there to help them through that. So thanks to Union EMS as well. Would like to make the board aware when we talk about families that are in need in our community and the impacts of COVID on our economy, there are a number of families that are in need in our community. Tomorrow, March the 2nd, from 2 to 5 p.m., there will be a free food distribution event at Elizabeth Missionary Baptist Church here in Monroe. That's located at 503 Maurice Street. The event is being sponsored by the Produce Alliance, who is a private nonprofit organization that reaches out to low-income, underserved communities throughout the state of North Carolina and provides free food boxes. I understand these are like maybe the size of a banana or an apple box, 30 pounds of food or more in that. But they have 1,100 of these boxes to give away tomorrow. In addition to free food distribution, there is going to be free COVID-19 testing made available to the folks that come and participate in the event. The event is sponsored by the Produce Alliance, New Covenant Community Development Center, Elizabeth Missionary Baptist Church, and Union County Government. Again, that's at the Elizabeth Missionary Baptist Church, 503 Maurice Street here in Monroe. And anyone that is interested, that needs additional information, can call the church office at 704-283-6342. Let me reread that, 704-283-6342. And that's between the hours of 2 and 5 p.m. tomorrow. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I say thank you and good evening.
Thank you. Commissioner Simpson.
No comments.
Okay, Commissioner Rushing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For over a decade, my wife and I volunteered to teach hunter education in North and South Carolina. And because of COVID, we've been severely restricted in being able to hold live classes. So with turkey season coming up and a renewed interest in hunting and fishing and outdoor activities with families during COVID, I'd like to remind all the families that you can do this online. You can go online to ncwildlife.org and you can take the online version, and they are not requiring an in-person test at this time. So the in-person field day has been waived, and I guess until they take that back, that's one step that you won't have to take. So if you have children, if you are an adult that has never taken it but interested, that would be a good program to go through. And it's a good program to go through for homeschoolers, anybody interested in conservation, first aid, safety, and anything that goes along with that. So good program, and you only, if you do it online, there is a small fee through the website, but it's a small fee, and it's, like I said, a good program. If you don't pass, you don't pay. Thanks.
Mr. Ray,
No comments.
Commissioner Williams.
No comments.
And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Ms. Chu, I would like to speak to you if you have a minute. Motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye.
I'm good. How are you, sir? Good.